Hey everybody, before we start this podcast episode, I wanted to let you know about our Patreon community. Patreon is a great way to support Black with No Cream financially. If you're enjoying these podcast episodes, we invite you to check it out. When you sign up, you get a bunch of amazing perks, such as our live streams that we do every single month, bonus Morning Roast podcast episodes, our exclusive Discord group chat, Q&A with our interview guest, instant access to our How to Charge a Client guide, merch discounts, and all of that, plus a shit ton of other stuff. So if you're interested in that, definitely sign up. Jointhehomies.com or patreon.com/blackwindowcream, whatever you prefer. We'll see you there. And we are back with another Black with No Cream podcast. New episode every single Wednesday and Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Real Verse World, here with my co-host, David Malave. And it is a great day to be alive. Our topic today is how to give constructive feedback. We feel like this is I think a lot of people probably sleep on this, but we've noticed a lot of times, and especially in the Black with No Cream group, it's like people share their work, right? Which is like the most vulnerable moment that you can ever have, especially as a new creator. But always, no matter what, no matter how advanced in creating you are, when you share some shit, when Quentin Tarantino shares a film and the first day he drops that shit, it's a vulnerable moment. So when people give feedback, it can literally fucking wreck you. And so we're going to talk about different ways that you can go about giving feedback, great suggestions on how to do it, and so on and so forth. So let's get to the intro right now.
Welcome to the Morning Roast, a place where you will get the most info from a deep dive into the topics that really need light with your host, Ben and Dave, coming to you live today. Grab your cup of joe and take some fucking notes, you bitch.
Okay, so before we get into this episode, we want to let y'all know that we have all the Black with No Cream merch that's in the store right now. I think we're about to get rid of all of it. So if you have ever wanted to wear the same Black with No Cream merch that Dave and I wear almost every other day, this is your time to get that shit at shop.bwnc.com, because we know you want it.
Yeah, cop that long sleeve creator tee for set, crop the hoodie for winter.
Yeah, winter's be cold out here, man. I just literally I got off the plane in Iowa and it was fucking 20 degrees or something like that. And I was like, why? And it's snowing there tomorrow. I was like...
And then you come back to LA and it's like 80. And
yeah. I wore short shorts on the way home and it was just so cold until we like got to LA. I was like freezing. It was sucked. Anyway, yeah, make sure you get the hoodie because it'd be cold out there. And shop.bwnc.com. We appreciate that shit. All right, let's get to today's topic, the Morning Roast. How to give constructive feedback. I think... we've talked about this before. Actually, Dave and I recorded this episode. We literally did this topic before, like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and it was supposed to come out tomorrow, this Wednesday. And somehow, when we finished, I realized I didn't hit record on the fucking camera, so we didn't record any video. So we're like, God damn it, we only have audio. We're like, all right, well, let's just post it with. It is what it is. We'll just take the L on this one. And there's no video.
Because it was a good episode and we knew we did well.
We talked about this constructive feedback shit for a while. Then somehow I lost that file. That audio file is gone now. So now we have nothing. Like there was no video, or at least even if we had the video, we could just take the shitty room audio and just be like, well, let's salvage it. But so our fault. But now, I don't know.
We're gonna try to channel the exact same energy we had last time.
Yeah, but what kicked that shit off in the beginning was because, when you look at the Black with No Cream Facebook group, 6,000 people in there. They're talking every day. A ton of people are sharing their content and all this stuff. And like I said earlier in the intro, it's like a very vulnerable thing to share your art with the world, right? Even just me showing you something I made on my phone or like showing you a project on my computer is like a vulnerable moment. So the one thing that made me want to talk about this topic is like when I see people go straight to what they don't like about someone's project right away. Like it happens all the time. And I feel like it's easy to do that because the way we're programmed right now with social media and the way time is, like there's so much, we can balance so much more, so we're doing so much more. So when you see something, you have a little window to critique, you just go straight to like oh, well, this Zoom thing sucks, or this LUT you applied on this thing sucks, and like you just say something negative right away. And like I think early on in grade school we're taught, like whenever we're giving feedback to our fellow peers in school, start off with like a positive before a negative, because no one wants to fucking hear that shit. Like they may need to hear that shit, but they worked. You don't know what they went through to make that project come to life. You don't know how many hours they spent slaying on a video, or fucking trying to figure out how to light a subject, or drawing, or making a song, or whatever it is, and then they put it all out there, and you hear it or you see it, and you're like, I've seen someone else do this better, and you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like that shit's what? So it's like you have to be considerate of that, because I feel like that's the goal, especially within our community, and we try to be advocates for this shit, like for Facebook and like people that are in there. Like we don't want negativity, we want constructive. You know what I mean? There's a difference of like providing constructive feedback, but also providing negative feedback. And you might not even know you're doing it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. No, I think there's a difference. There's like just giving negative and not really considering. And there's also like, we're not saying like just be cupcake and like say everything's positive. It's about like doing a complete picture of, you know what I mean? Number one, if you're just giving negative feedback, like the person isn't really receiving it that well, because it's like you're just coming at them from like an angle, right? So it's almost like, you know, like you said, people work so hard. They want to hear like, what did you like? You know what I mean? Like what did I do right? Then give me like a complete picture of like what you think could be better. That's the goal. It's not necessarily like, let me just hit, oh, you should have did this, or I think this is trash, or whatever. It's like the idea of first starting with a positive. It's like, number one, you're showing that you digested the content, you care, you did like some stuff that they did, and then you're going further and offering some things that you think could be better. Right. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's a good starting point in terms of like the mindset to like give feedback.
And it can be applied in like any workplace. Like anyone can take this tip of like providing feedback, because no one, like the worst thing ever was like working for some dickhead that just comes in and just shits on everything you do. You know what I mean? Like what makes you want to come back to that place ever again? Right. What makes you ever like, imagine, all right, if you're an OG Black Window Cream member, you've been in the community forever, and you've been seeing the people post their shit, and you see the people ask their questions, and you're in here, you're the guru, blah, 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 blah. Someone comes in and is just like, yo, check this out. And you've just, by that, for some reason that day, you're just like, I'm going to give some shorthanded, like quick feedback thing. And it just is like, wouldn't have chosen that at that point in time or whatever, if say it's a video or something, but you don't tell them what you would have done. You just are like, I wouldn't have done it like that. Like, oh, what would you have done it, you fucking genius? Like, you know what I mean? Like, no one can use that shit. And like, especially like in this field, like when you take notes, the worst thing ever is when you get a client that's like, oh, I like it, but the energy isn't feeling right. I think we need a different song. What song would you like? I don't know. Oh, okay, I'll just sit here and keep fucking guessing all night long until I can't stand anymore, because I've been awake for 30 hours trying to figure out what fucking song you might like.
I'll just pick the exact song that you want from the millions of songs that exist.
Millions and millions of songs that exist. Different genres and tempos and all kinds of shit, you fucking moron. Like, that's the shit that you don't want to be a part of, right? So what I think is super key is like the other day, you worked like you had court with you all day, and then she left, and then you came in the office when I left, so I've been here all day, then you left, or you came in, you worked on the Dutch Bros video, which by the time you're listening to this should be on YouTube. So you were working on that till like 4 a.m, coloring it, and then I came in the morning when you were sleeping, and then I saw it, and I was like, I went straight to work. Like, you finished that, and I knew I had to add more shit, so I like went straight to work. I didn't even like look at what you did, because I already knew it was gonna be dope, right? I already knew it was gonna be dope. And then accidentally I like went to the beginning, I started watching it, I noticed the color, like it's like I forgot that you had stayed up all night working on the color, and I was like, oh shit, that's fire. And I was gonna text you, but then I'm like, oh no, I'll text him later because he's asleep and I want to be blowing him up about just like, I can talk about it later. Right. Then I forgot. Then I felt like a dick, because then you came in, you're like, hey, what'd you think about the color? I'm like, oh yeah, it was fire. I was gonna text you about it. But then to you, it's like, I just stayed up all night long to get like a little pat on the back would be cool. You don't need it.
I don't need it.
You don't fucking need it. Right. But you just worked on something for 4 a.m. Was it good? Was it good? Like, I thought it was good when I left here. Like, that's the shit that we're talking about. Like, when you don't know what someone did to something behind the scenes, you know
or
what I mean?
imagine in that situation, like that's one situation where it's like I like to check in on you, like, yo, you think it was good? Because I know if I think it's good, you're gonna think it's good because we have the same taste. But it's good to know, like, okay, yeah, like what I did was solid. I can keep on that same path or whatever. But imagine if I came in, right, and I spent all night, I was doing notes and color, and you came in and I was just like, I walked in and you were like, yo, so at 2 minutes, like the audio's all fucked up.
Yeah, straight to a fucking like problem.
Yeah, and I'll be like, okay, and then you're like, oh, also this, and I'll be like, did you like the intro I cut? You know what I mean? Or if you were like, yo, the intro you cut was fire, and the color looks awesome. I noticed that like 2 minutes.
Right.
Like the sound is a little off.
Yeah.
Like, did you notice that? And I'll be like, oh no, let me go fix it.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
like
I mean?
the applause and then let's get to fucking grind mode.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's it. But I think sometimes you could take for granted, like I was saying it last time we tried to record this. It was like the idea of like, I already know that you know that I know you're dope.
Right.
So then in my mind, I'm like, okay, we have limited time. Like there's so much things we have to do. It's like, do we need to take this roundabout way? And I think a lot of people can forget. I'm just using this as an example, us as an example. And I think this can happen to a lot of people where they forget the importance of their teammates. You have Darren and Adam. They're sitting here, they work their ass off. So it's like reminding them that they're fucking killing it. You know what I mean? Just all the time, because they are. And I'll just be like, oh shit, they're fucking dope. Like they've been killing it. I'm just gonna text one of them. You know what I mean? Like whatever. Like, or Nico's, Justin, like the same shit. It's like all these people play so much, they do so much shit to go above and beyond all the time, and if you do not acknowledge that shit sucks. You know what I mean? I fucking hate that shit. Like I hated being in any work environment and not having the people at the top or the people that you're going hard for like acknowledge that you are doing that. You are in fact giving up time and putting in energy and contributing a very valuable amount of time to something, and when you just don't fucking like let them know, shit's the worst shit. I could say this over and over again, but I feel like
but it's an interesting topic because we're talking in the context of like feedback in like text form in like Facebook or you know, in voice whenever you're like asking someone for feedback, but this kind of like nature goes to like all spectrums. I feel like, especially like in person, if you're like a director and you have a crew, or you're working within a crew and you're having to like work with other people, like that. It's common nature to like the way you connect with people and the way you get people to work and motivate them to work harder, or like to even help you out, is by being like considerate of that. And also like, you know, you can't just walk around and be like, oh, I want it like this, I want it like this. Like you have to like, the way you connect with people is by like motivating them to go to the same place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen by like, and another point we talked about is like, if you say you just don't like something, constructive feedback means like giving a solid effort to like give them a suggestion that will improve their project. That's the goal of constructive feedback. Is not, if someone posts the thing in Facebook, it's not, some people are looking for pat on the back, or they're looking for like to see if other people think it's cool, because maybe they don't have people around them to tell it's cool. But like, also it's like they don't have anyone around them to tell them things that are going to make their project better that they're like might be blind to, because we're all blind to because we've been staring at it for so long. You know what I mean? So like, where you're looking for people who are going to tell you like meaningful comments that will make the project better. And that's what it all comes down to, I feel like. Because you can tell them something nice and like you want to, and then you want to give them a meaningful comment, but it's like, if you don't like something or you think something would be better, like don't just say that. You have to go further and like give them a solid suggestion, and then all your feedback will be, because then they'll be like, oh, okay, it makes them think about their project differently. You know what I mean?
That's like, I always try to make sure that I do that whenever someone's like, hey, could you give me, what do you think I should do with this idea? And I'll be like, oh, what if you did like, you know, that could work, or what if you did this? You know what I mean? Like that, being able to apply something, anything, it doesn't even have to be something major. It's just the idea that you're saying that this might not be the wave, and you have maybe an idea of where it could go, or if it went in this direction or something close to it, it could be better. But you always leave it up to that, and don't, Yes. I
feel like a cool thing too is you don't have to like feedback doesn't have to, you don't like, if someone says you should do this, that doesn't mean you have to do it. Like
no,
it means you should just you should consider all feedback as an opportunity to like look at your project differently. Because even for example, I remember a video I showed you. There was like, it was like multiple days, and you like, I had edited out. It was kind of like a longer form type piece, and you were like, what if you combine the last like 2 days together into like one massive thing? And I like, because I was struggling with the length of it, and I was sitting there like, man, I'm looking at it all day. I'm like, that's not gonna work in my head, but I'm like, I always force myself to be like, let me like sit with it and see how it might look if I put it all together.
Right.
The end, right? In the end, I decided not to do that. But
Right.
what it did do is made me think like, man, there are some pieces in here I need to take out because I need to like, if I am going to keep it timeline, I need to cut it down.
Right, trim it.
And like, that wouldn't have happened unless you would have gave me a suggestion.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So like,
yeah. And that's fucking the beauty of all this shit. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
it's the opportunity to like, I've been in so many times, so many situations where someone will be like, I think it should start here instead of there. And I'm like, ugh, you don't know shit.
yeah.
But then I try it. I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
many times does that happen? A million times. Then I learned to just be hopeful that happens. Be hopeful that someone else suggested some shit that I might not have thought about because it will make my project better. That's the key of collaboration. Like that's
Right.
what collaboration is. So when you are open to suggestions, sometimes you're not. Sometimes people just be telling you shit and you didn't even ask for it. But
Right. And you just have to know which ones to take and which
yeah,
ones not to.
Yeah. And I think that's
But there
dope.
are a lot of times when like you'll think like that's dumb. Like no, you're like, no, it's not gonna work. I know it because I've been in this project. You haven't or whatever.
Right.
And then like you'd end up implementing that and you look back and you're like, yeah, that was a good idea. I'm glad I
Right.
did that. And it's like that initial reaction of like, no, because I've been in it and you haven't, is like, if you can fight that, then I feel like that's where the constructive feedback like really makes its impact. Cause it's like, you have to force yourself to be like
willing
to at least try it. Like that's
Yeah.
what I've learned at least is like, if you tell me something, like I trust you in terms of like your expertise.
Right.
So I know I at least got to try it.
Right.
You know, at least got to like at least make an effort to
Yeah.
try it because you may be right and I can't just say no because
Right.
I don't want to. You know
right,
what I mean?
right, yeah. Then you're putting yourself in a hold. And
Right.
I also think like you could look at it from this perspective of too, of how people need to learn how to ask for feedback, because a lot of people don't understand the concept of, they just assume that everyone's going to indulge their content, watch it over and over and over again, and then be able to like be in the same wavelength as them. It's like, no, you made a 2-minute video and no one has time to watch that as many times as you did, and they may watch the first minute of it and try to give you initial feedback or an idea off of it. Some people don't watch the whole thing.
Facts.
Some people don't watch the whole thing, and that's one reason why you need to decide if it's worth it to listen to them or not. Because if they're talking about how the point you're making at the beginning doesn't make any sense, but they didn't watch how it comes full circle at the end, it's problematic. But when people don't have much time, you need to figure out how to ask them for what you need. If you just want to have someone fucking suck your dick and tell you that you're a dope editor, then just be like, hey, scale 1 to 10, where do you think it's at? Because you must believe in yourself and everyone's going to give you a 10 out of 10.
Right.
But if you want people to look at it and say, yo, like, all right, I'm going to watch your video, or I'm going to look at your stills or whatever it is, and you know exactly what your problem is. Like, hey guys, I've been really struggling with using flash photography. And this time I tried using my fucking speed light and this and that, and I set it up this way, and this is how I got it, but I can't quite get this. Does anyone have any suggestions of how I could change this to make it better? Here's some BTS photos too to show you how I set it up, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, like, you're going above and beyond to provide all the things I would need to look at it, analyze it, and give you a proper response that will hopefully help you accomplish what you're doing. Versus just like, what do you guys think of this photo? What can I do better? Don't shoot that person. Use a different lens,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? The possibilities are endless of what they're going to tell you, so it's not helpful.
I feel like that's in the group we see that a ton. It's like any feedback, because you know we everyone knows that you have to make an effort to like, or that's our role in the group. You have to make an effort to provide details about the project
Right.
to help people understand why they should care about your content, right?
Yeah.
And also, like what you're saying, I feel like a lot of people just say any feedback is welcome, right? But then, like, there's a million things to give feedback on, but it's not going to help you necessarily unless you know what you need feedback on, you know?
Right.
Because like general feedback doesn't necessarily general feedback is important, but it's like people, like you said, people aren't going to digest it well enough to like make a super analyzed answer that gives you a full rounded feedback,
Right.
like comment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's another thing is like, I feel like personally, if you're going to give feedback, you have like an obligation to at least have fully digested the content, right? Because if you're just going to comment without actually have fully watched it, you're doing that person a disservice,
Right.
and you're doing yourself a disservice because you may say some shit and then and the person's like, actually, I don't know if you watch, but at the end, like you said, at the end, this is where that makes sense, and
Right.
you're like, oh well, I only watched half of it,
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly, right.
And then you already spoke and either made a wrong impression on this person or like turn this person down the wrong path because you didn't actually fully digest the content. So it's like,
Yeah.
if you're going to comment, at least watch everything and make an effort to like fully give them a response that like shows that you watched the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. And man, it's so hard because it's like there's so many variations of this shit, but I feel like it's so, especially in our community, it's like a place where that's where you're supposed to go for feedback, and people will ask for feedback on something so early before they've even consumed it enough to understand if it's good or bad. Like they'll literally they'll shoot and edit this project in under 3 hours, and they'll post it and be like, what do you guys think? And it's just like the most cookie cutter version of like what it could have been with some fucking stock zoom transitions, or it's got fucking like shitty Photoshop done in it. It doesn't have very good VFX because they didn't live in the project long enough. And then they're asking people for feedback. It's like, dude, what do you really care about this project? To like, you just made it because, and you just post it because you wanted feedback. Like when I work on my projects, I definitely am a person that will, as I'm working on something, show someone. I'll be like, yo, check this part out. Tell me
that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I do. But people will show it like as if the project's done. And then when they get the feedback that's like, yo, this shit isn't that done, and then they're bummed about it, and people respond hastily because they can't take the feedback. They're like angry that you're giving feedback. So even if someone gave you solid feedback, you're mad because you don't agree, but it's because you did something and you rushed it, or you did something and it's not that far,
or you don't agree, but you literally asked them for the feedback.
You asked for it.
So how can you not? You know what I mean?
Right.
I see that. I was trying to look it up, but I saw one because it was like some dude posted a video, asked for feedback, and someone said some shit, and then he was like, "Well, that's you." Like he like some like kind of like attitude back.
Yeah.
Well, that's you, but I think it's this, and it's like, then why did you ask?
Right. Yeah. Don't ask if you're not ready for it.
That's where I feel like this feedback is so. There's two sides of it, right? There's giving and taking, obviously.
Right.
And like, it's a process on both sides to be able to like, not only to be able to give constructive feedback that's valuable, but also like learning how to just receive it. You know what I mean? Like if you're asking for it, people are going to tell you something's wrong with your project because there probably is. And you also have to know that people have different opinions on shit.
Yeah,
you could think it's perfect. And the whole point is that you're going to show like, if you have a video, right? It's not just you that's going to watch it. When you put it up on YouTube, potentially thousands of people will watch it, whatever.
Yeah.
And like all those people are going to have different opinions. So you need to have different opinions on your project, or else like you won't hear the shit that you don't want to hear because you're not telling yourself that it's not good. You know what I mean?
I love it. Reviews, man. Leaving reviews and feedback. So critical, man. People fucking be butthurt about that shit. But at the same time, you made it to put it out there, and people are going to talk about that. That's the way the shit works.
I do want to touch on one thing though. You said like asking for feedback before you even finish. And I feel like, the idea of like in the Facebook group, when someone asked like, what camera should I buy? We did a morning roast on this called What Camera Should I Buy? And we talked about how like people just jump for that question before they've even like searched enough in Google and YouTube to like learn enough about it to ask it like a better question, like about specific cameras or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's like with feedback, it's like I feel like you got to live with the project for long enough to like have figured it out on your own and really know what it is before you can go ask for feedback. Because if you ask intermediate feedback, it's like you haven't even found a path yet. You're going left and right before you even like set something up.
Right.
And then I feel like that affects the creative process too, because it's like if you're getting feedback before you've really come up with the idea or the idea is fully formed, like that is impacting your creative idea of whatever the project is. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm definitely a person, like I like to, like for me, it's all me until I have it figured out.
Right.
And then I'll ask because it's like, then I have a reason to explain of like what it is versus like, if I let you in too early, you're going to start telling me things that are wrong about it before I've even like had a chance to make my thing.
Yeah. You might be very proud of an audio mix and then all I'm seeing is the visual not pieced together, but you're going to do that after, but you don't tell me because you were too excited. And then I watch it and then I'm just like, oh, this is wrong. And then you're like, no, but the audio, listen to that. But like, you have to think that people don't understand where you're at in your mind.
Facts.
So you have to get it to a point where like whenever we do a project for clients, usually you put a slate card on the front of it and that card will say no sound design, no VFX, no color. So that way they can't give you the feedback is this colored? This should be colored better, or this should sound better. Like, why isn't sound mixed? Like, those questions are immediately out the door because you've already addressed it. This doesn't exist here. Don't fucking talk about it. It's
solely
coming
looking
later.
at the picture.
Yeah, you're looking for the edit, or you're looking for whatever the fucking point of this shit is. All right, I want to get to the review of the day, and as well as our question of the day. It's funny because sometimes we be reading these questions, they turn in like their own little podcast.
Yeah, it's like its
At
own
the
morning
end.
roast.
Yeah, it's like a full little micro morning roast. But if you want to ask a question of the day, you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/blackwindowcream. You can ask a question in our Discord thread. And then if you leave a review on iTunes, we're sending out Black Window Cream stickers to you in the motherfucking mail. So leave a review. The review for this week is from Don't Keep Scrolling. They said, such a great resource for creators. Black Window Cream is legit. My favorite part of this is the Morning Roast series. Ben talks about practical tips for creatives, and it's cool to have a resource like that. We agree. Thank you for listening to that, G. Send us your address in the mail. Do you have the question of the day, Dave?
Yeah. So the question of the day is, basically, it's not a full question, but the idea is discussing these two things. One is up and moving to LA for opportunities, or staying and building a resume where you are. So like which one?
I did both.
Right.
And like before I moved to LA, I was building my resume, and my resume might not have been like amazing projects or amazing clients, but I was like doing shit that taught me certain things. We talked about this in the last morning roast about preparation and those things, but investing tons of hours into like what I wanted to know, which was cameras, shooting, directing, storytelling, all of that I needed to do and build up that resume before I moved to California. And when I moved to California, I knew I had the skill set because I had sharpened up those tools prior. And when I got to California, I was able to run and fucking handle shit with confidence and make quality, build relationships because I had spent so much time in my, area that's not LA trying to figure it out. And I think that's like, that's like pretty key.
Yeah. I think I'll just say this. The episode that inspired me the most when I first started listening to Black Window Cream was J.R. Strickland's episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the biggest, I always say like I know like the big lesson from each one, and that was the biggest lesson from that. And he said something like you got to be on the all-star team, like to make it to the NBA, you got to be the best in your area, right? So it's like the LA is the big leagues, right? So you want to focus on you want to be the best at where you're at, or at least getting there,
right?
Have worked with clients, have built a portfolio, have built your confidence and your creative style and all this stuff where you're at before you come in here in this big pool and just kind of like be fending for, which is not to say you shouldn't. Right. But I'm saying like if you're struggling with like, should I, like if you're still at a point where if you're not getting clients where you are, if you come to LA, it's going to be 10 times harder.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to get to a point where you feel confident that when I get to LA, I'm going to be able to immediately fend for myself.
Right.
I feel like that was such a mindset that inspired me when I was in San Antonio, Texas, because I was like, cool, I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm working in Austin, but it's like, I got to be the best here. You know what I mean? Like, let me be the best person here, like the people that are looking for me here. And then when I build that up, then I go to LA and I have something to call back on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of versus just graduating college, be like, I'm going to LA. Right. And then not having anything to show anybody.
Yeah. Well, and also to play the devil's advocate of that, it's people could come to LA without needing to have it, but you have a plan. Like some people will come here to learn because they cannot learn back home or cannot get clients back home, and they have to come here for the clients. So they're working, they're driving Uber, they're fucking working waiting tables, they're doing whatever it takes. And with every single hour that they have free, they're spending that at casting calls, they're spending that on set, they're spending it PAing, they're doing whatever they can to get access to certain things. And through that, they start learning the knowledge as well. So it's like there's multiple ways you can do it. It's whatever your situation is.
Yeah, I feel like it comes down to your situation, because I feel like if you have the ability to move to LA and that's like legit, like if you tomorrow you wanted to do it, you could do it, then, and you feel like you have a plan, then do it. Because you can figure it out here without having it. But I'm speaking to the people that's like, they're like, damn, I can't really be in LA. Like, can I still make it? And it's like, yeah, focus on being like, make your situation the best, like build up your portfolio, become known in your area, because like JR says, like when you're on the all-star team for your place, when you come to LA, like that'll go further, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just
go listen to that episode for sure.
Definitely listen to that episode and invest in your, if you know it's going to take you 2 years before you can go to where you want to go, that entire time is fucking full court press. Like just practice. And then when you get here, it's going to be a little bit easier. It'll still be challenging, but a little bit easier. But anyway, that's it. Make sure if you want to leave question of the day, patreon.com/blackwindowcream. And we do new episodes every single Wednesday and Sunday. Thank you for listening to this shit. Subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. And have a great motherfucking day. Boy.